All right, welcome to the first ever Bank on It podcast. I am your host, Matt Banks, and what I'm going to get down to tonight is the um SEC opener for the Kentucky Wildcats as they took on the Ole Miss Rebels. And good news for Big Blue Nation: Kentucky came out an 83-61 winner to go to 11-2 on the season, and obviously 1-0 in conference play. Um, I think the big story coming into this was Camp Cow. And for those of you who don't know what Camp Cow is, it's a time over the holiday break between Christmas and New Year's where Coach Cal will really grind on the guys and will take them in and just kind of get them focused. To do some film sessions with them, have them go through some pretty demanding practices, maybe three a day, and just kind of like when you go into football season, you do your two a days and things like that. That's kind of what Camp Cal is, and it really gets them to focus on um, on fine tuning their games. Really paying into not the big picture. What are the small things that I need to do to make myself better and make my teammates better? And I think he really turns that uh, attention and focus. Uh, he really ranches it up and just kind of makes the kids focused and pushes his demand up a little bit more, as if he really needed to do that. But it's a really trying time for the kids. It's mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, obviously, um, but it is something that we see every year. And you don't necessarily see him flip the switch, but you kind of see things start to click a little bit more. And I think that's what we saw tonight. Um, I think some of the guys started to get a little bit more. I saw Jamal Murray, where in the past he would, kind of run down the lane and throw up a shot. He was much more subdued tonight. He wasn't always trying to make the play that he thought was necessary, but he kind of pulled it out. Um, still jacked up some shots, but I think that he played with a little bit more of a conscience, and he kind of really played off the other guys, and he kind of set the tone for the rest of the guys also. Um, and I think that's what you see throughout these seasons is you see um, basically BCC Camp Cow. And that's something that we can rely on. You see a different team each year. Let's hope that what we saw tonight continues to the rest of the season, because what I saw tonight was attitude. I saw physicality. I saw a different team, and I didn't see just one or two guys do it. I saw, Poitras, I saw Scow, I saw Lee, Euless, Murray. Obviously, having Briscoe back was a big deal. Um, I really saw those guys get after it, and what you saw in the past few games was, oh, I'll just kind of run after the ball, give an effort, and maybe somebody else will go get the ball. Maybe I'll go get that rebound, or maybe someone else will get it. Now, what I saw tonight was gang rebounding. I saw guys wanting to dive on the floor. I saw them tipping it, wanting to go up and grab it with two hands. I saw them really taking advantage of the opportunities that presented themselves, which in the past, past couple games, Ohio State, Louisville, you'd see them kind of tap the ball and then let the other team get it and get some second chance opportunities, which kept them in the game. And tonight, we saw Kentucky put the pedal to the metal and really get after it and opened up a big lead. So I thought the headlines of the game was really, if you go to the best player on the floor throughout these first 13 games, is Tyler Ulis. He had another huge game. He had a double double, 20 points, 10 assists, and 6 steals. And he really, just as he always does, has complete command of the offense. If there's a better guard in the country, I need to see him. And I know there's a couple guys that they keep talking about, and I know it's kind of slipping my mind right now, but Ulis is the real deal. I think the knock on him is obviously his size, but boy, he's a one man press breaker, and he just has complete control. He knows where everybody is, and he'll knock down some timely shots for you. And he's a great guard, and I'm happy he's playing for this team. Um, the next person I will say that had a big game um, was Jamal Murray. He did have the 18 points, 7 of 17 shooting. I think that's just what you're going to get with him. He's a volume shooter. Let me take that back. He's a volume scorer. He's not just a shooter. He can definitely get hot and knock down some threes, as we saw Ohio State. He just kind of erupted there, and that's what he's capable of. But he is also got more to his game. He's got some pull ups, some floaters, gets to the basket. He can get to the foul line. He's a very good free throw shooter. And he is the real deal. And he had an excellent game. Also in double figures there. The next guy in double figures, Marcus Lee, had a great game again. 13 points, 8 rebounds. And I think what I saw from him and some other guys was, when we get on a fast break, you won't let just one or two guys go down there and try to finish it. You had everybody. You had 3 and 4 guys coming down the floor looking for those tip ins, and we did see that. We saw nobody block out Derek Willis, came in and dunked it. I saw Marcus Lee come down on a fast break and slam it back in off of, I believe, a Jamal Murray miss. So that's what you want. You want guys to finish all the plays, and that's what they're really doing. We want to finish every possession, finish every play. And that's what the game's about. And you're probably going to come out on the plus end of things when you do the little things that Coach Cal and all the other coaches want. I think Poythress played great again. He only had 6 points, but 9 big rebounds. And in past years, we've seen Alex be very bashful, shy, just kind of not really aware of himself, but you really see him growing into himself, and I think he's growing more confident in his knee and his health each game, and I hope that continues. He's jumping up, dunking, going up for rebounds, and you want to see the aggressive Alex. When we get aggressive Alex, we're a different team. And he really pushes it, and I was surprised during the Louisville game he was showing us some post moves, doing those things, and you didn't always see that with him. You kind of saw somebody who'd want to sit back there and shoot a little bit from the outside, even though he wasn't a great 3-point shooter. And you saw somebody who'd always want to get to the basket, but he never had that kind of in between or that post up move that can get him free. Part of that was his footwork. He'd always travel. He did make a nice move or make a nice rip through and go to the basket, but he'd always travel, and it'd be all for naught. But I think he's really growing into himself, and I look for great things. I think this team, although it's guard dominated, it's going to really be interesting to see what happens during conference play, conference tournament play, and then obviously NCAA tournament play with the bigs. Poythress, Lee, Humphreys in there, Scal. I think Poythress and Scal are going to dictate how far this team goes. If we don't get much from Scal, we're not going to go very far in the tournament. If you don't get that aggressiveness from Poythress, we're not going to go very far in the tournament. I know it's dominated by guard play in the tournament, but you got to have some bigs to keep it honest. And I really think the aggressiveness. Now, the points, those will come and go. The rebounds will come and go. But just being aggressive, being assertive, that's what we want to see for the rest of the season. And I think this Camp Cal is going to really get it out after him, and he can kind of refer back to those things. This is what we've been practicing, those kind of things, to really get them going. Lastly, I think, like I alluded to before, Scal being a little bit more aggressive. And by aggressive, I mean his previous 3 games, he was 1 of 12 from the field, 4 points and 8 rebounds. Tonight he had 9 points, 3 rebounds. You'd obviously want to see a little bit more rebounding from him, but, it's kind of hard when you have Lee and Poythress getting 9 and 8 respectively. You had the guards coming in and get a handful of rebounds also. So, it's nice to see that at least somebody got this. So some nights it'll be Scal, some nights it'll be Portersley, those other guys. But what I liked was Scal was assertive. He got in there within the first couple seconds that he got in there. He ripped down a rebound and he actually took it from another player, took it from an Ole Miss player. And you'd want to see that before he just kind of back up and run down the court. But he really wanted to get it, and he got a couple second chance opportunities, and that was great to see. And the crowd loved it. He was he was cheered heavily, just because Big Blue Nation really knows how important he is to this team, and uh, they need him to play extremely well. And it's kind of tough when you see that go on with these guys, just because not everybody's the same. You like to think, oh, you can just plug and play these Kentucky guys, and not everybody matures at the same rate. Not everybody understands or can translate the practice over into game situations. And you can't just think these kids are robots. They're 18, in some cases 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're just not gonna respond all the same. And not everybody's an Anthony Davis. Not everybody's a Michael Kidd Gilchrist who can just, do as they please out there on the court. So I think the maturation of Scal is going to be something to watch, and the fans respect that. They do understand, even though it's frustrating for them. They do understand that, he's going to continue to get better. And this kid's had a rough start to his life. He's you know been in Haiti, and then the earthquake happening, and him having to relocate, and then playing, and then the transition to a big time program. That's tough on a kid. Just think if that happened to you, or you when you were younger, or your kids. That's a big movement. That's a big change. And hopefully for him, things start to click, and he finds a comfortable home here. Um, let's see, for the Ole Miss side of it, it's exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was Stephon Moody. He was 6 for 9 from the field, 9 for 9 from the free throw line. He finished with 23 points. The only other person in double figures was Sebastian Saiz, and he had 12 points. He got a little foul trouble. The bigs, both 2 to 3 of the bigs, got in foul trouble for Ole Miss in the first half, and I think that's what really did him in. Andy Kennedy had to kind of go down the bench and look for anybody who could really come in and kind of put up with Kentucky's assertiveness and aggressiveness with their bigs. And I think that really pushed, kind of ignited the run that really put the game away in the first half. I think it was 14-11 at one point. Then UK went on a 23-3 run, and that pushed it to 37-14, and kind of took the wind out of the sails for Ole Miss. And, as they slid on to the second half, Cal started to do his coach talk, and he was kind of messing with some guys. He was upset. They were up 26, 28 points, and I don't care how much you want to say that they should keep their pedal to the metal, but it's hard, seeing the scoreboard to be that aggressive. You're going to give some of those plays away. I know you don't want to always think that way, but you're not going to beat teams by 30 or 40. It's not last year's team where they would just dominate people. So you're going to have a little bit of lag, but for them to build up that cushion, that's a progression. I like to see that. And continuing on that first half run, I think they out rebounded Ole Miss 26-13. They doubled them up. They shot 52% to Ole Miss's 23. I think they finished the half with 22 points, that being Ole Miss, and Tyler Ulis had 13 at that point. So it was pretty good output there, and you really had those other guys step up, and I thought it was very impressive that Kentucky built that lead and just kind of sustained it through. Put the pressure on them. They continued with pressure throughout the game. It was nice to see them really just get a convincing win, not have to have us bite our fingernails at the end of the game like we did with Louisville. I think overall they out rebounded them by they got a plus 15 margin over Ole Miss in the rebound category, which is obviously huge. You get second opportunities, and you just get dominance down low and just kind of asserting themselves there. I thought that's always big in every game. I think we got that with you don't understand the importance of rebounds and everything like that. Um, just look at the Julius Randle led Kentucky Wildcats. He was just owning the paint down low, and they would win every single night on the rebounds. And that doesn't always translate to wins, but you see how important it is down the stretch. That team was struggling all year. And then in the tournament, boom, rebounds, second opportunities, kickouts, threes. And that team was eventually, able to make everything click. And, that was the tweak year when they got to the Final Four in the final game. So those things are very important. So if they can consistently win the rebounding margin, I think that's going to be huge for them. One bad note for Kentucky is what we saw with Dominique Hawkins. That did not look like a good thing when he came down, and they put it lightly. When they were mentioning it, they said that he tweaked his ankle. It looked like more than a tweak. He wasn't able to put any weight on that. He had to have a couple of the big guys kind of lift him off the floor to take him over the sideline. So they said he was in a wheelchair afterward. I think they mentioned that it was his ankle. Obviously, I hope it's not the knee or a significant injury to the ankle, but it did look bad. And you just kind of feel bad for him because this was his time. He had a huge game against Louisville, 3 for 4 from the three with 13 points. Actually, the only three that he missed was one that went off the top of the backboard, hit the shot clock, and went in. Obviously, not counting since it did hit the shot clock, but he had a heck of a game, and I think he only played 3 minutes tonight. Didn't finish with any points, but that would be a big hit. From a leadership standpoint, obviously, they can find a way around that. Whether they put, Michael Mulder in there, they put Charles Matthews in there. They'll find a way to get some play out of that position, get some more depth. But that is a big hit with some veteran leadership and a guy that just really loves the game, and he loves to be out there on the court, and he plays some great defense. That is going to be a big hit there. But it's not anything that they can't overcome. But you just feel for him, and you hate to see that for somebody who finally gets their chance to play some significant minutes. Kentucky has to really get it under control. They got a quick turnaround. Obviously, going on the road in any territory, they haven't had good outcomes when they went to UCLA, and then they went on a neutral court in the OSU game. They have to go to LSU on Tuesday. They got to put up with the best player in the nation at this point. Ben Simmons is going to be the number 1 overall NBA pick, and he's averaging 20 plus a game, 12 or 13 rebounds a game, and 5 or 6 assists, and he can just do it all. You're not going to contain him. You got to contain the other guys. Let him get his, and not push those other guys to have big games either. So it's really going to be a task to not only play on the road, but play against the best player in the nation, at least at this point. LSU doesn't have a great record, but they can always get that turned around. They do have a great player there, and sometimes that's all it takes for him to kind of go off. So hopefully the Cats can kind of swarm with defense and get him under control, and pull out another victory. But that remains to be seen. One more note for Jamal Murray is that he hit a 3 in his first 13 games of the season, which is a school record. So that is, anytime you go with a school record at the University of Kentucky, that is a big deal. So a 3 in 13 straight games for Jamal Murray. That was my first Bank on It podcast. I hope it was an enjoyable experience for you. I'm going to continue to bring these to you, whether it's Kentucky recaps, or maybe we'll do a little bit NFL. We'll do some Celtics talk. We'll do some Cowboys talk, even though they're terrible this year. We'll probably look at them going into the draft and things like that. So, Bank on It podcast will be a lot of going around my teams, but I don't hesitate to talk any sport anytime. MMA, we'll talk some professional wrestling here. We'll do a little bit of everything, and we'll also have some guests from time to time. Probably not on the recaps or anything like that, but I'll bring some other people, some friends, some people I follow on Twitter. We'll kind of arrange some things where you don't just have to hear me talk, because I know I'm probably not the best guy to keep that up. So I appreciate you joining me for my first ever Bank on It podcast, and I look forward to talking some more sports with you.